Welcome back. Now to our next conversation. According to the World Bank, Nigeria and 5 other countries are prime candidates for the implementation of carbon taxes. The State and Trends of Carbon Pricing report for May 2023, the World Bank highlighted Nigeria and 5 other African countries as suitable for the adoption of carbon taxes. Currently, South Africa is the sole country on the continent that has implemented carbon tax policies. For more now, join me is David Arinze, a renewable energy expert. Joining me from Abuja. Great to have you on the show.
Warm greetings, Laddie. Glad to be here.
Fantastic. So first, let's talk about, subsidy removal now. That's been an anthem since President Tinubu's inauguration. Nigeria launched its energy transition plan in August 2022 to demonstrate its commitment to achieving carbon neutrality. But how does subsidy removal impact this plan?
Thank you so much for the question. When you look at the energy transition plan and look at the critical sectors that the energy transition plan seeks to address, talking about industries, cooking, oil and gas, power and transportation, you see that the subsidy removal, we need to look at it from its short-term impact and its long-term impact. And what are those long-term impacts that we've identified? We're looking at the fact that resources that have been used to subsidize, that have been used for subsidy, can now go into critical infrastructure in other sectors. The energy transition plan itself has to be financed, and it is investments that are revenue that can be saved from subsidy that can be used, in financing critical plans that have a long-term impact, on several sectors. We're looking at the possibilities of having a stronger currency, but also looking at the fact that we could significantly reduce our borrowing as a country. So I would say that the subsidy removal is one hard decision that has had to be taken, which has already been taken, but we need to also begin to look at it from the long-term impact. And of course, when you look at the energy transition plan and all it has to offer, it's rather would have a lot of overarching impact, positive impact in the Nigerian economy. So that's what I see from the standpoint.
And do you see it moving lower income people to either dirtier alternatives or cleaner alternatives, with the subsidy removal? Because we've seen PMS price is sky high right now.
Very true. And this also gives Nigeria a very good opportunity to showcase some of its solutions that are able to meet those critical needs that could take people back to fossil fuels, such as their cooking needs, their heating needs, and all those sort of their energy generation needs or electricity needs. So at the end, there are already solutions on ground. Private sector is playing critically in the energy sector, in the renewable energy space, to provide solutions that really provide a solution to some of these problems that I had earlier identified. But it's critical that a lot more awareness needs to go into them. Government needs to be able to showcase these solutions as alternatives to fossil fuels. These clean energy solutions need to be shown to the public. A lot more support needs to be given to the private sector to scale these solutions and increase the investment within the sector to get everyone. People need to meet their cooking needs, but they can meet their cooking needs with clean stoves. People need to meet their transportation needs, but there are cleaner approaches, that could be leveraged. We've seen the news around having gas-powered buses and the rest of them. These sort of initiatives are solutions that are viable, but we need to scale them, because at the end of the day, if people need to meet their needs, people need to survive. So if they are not getting the opportunity to access these cleaner solutions, then they would begin to go to solutions that would not be in our favor when we look at climate change in the long term. So there are solutions on ground. The private sector is already playing very hard in this. Much more support needs to be done. And with that, I don't see people going to use fossil fuels. Rather, we can't continue to leverage and encourage renewable energy solutions from this point.
Okay, but how about carbon taxes now? How does it work? And we see South Africa as the only African country with the policy right now. How's that working out for them?
Honestly, when you look at carbon taxes, what are carbon taxes? Carbon taxes are literally a fee given to that emitters must pay, for polluting the environment, And so South Africa, that has positioned itself as a manufacturing hub, in its own right in Africa, is one where the government is saying, okay, if you're manufacturing or if you're producing carbon, they have different thresholds that they have identified. And so if you fall into any of those thresholds, there is already a fee per ton, that you pay as an emitter. So interestingly, Nigeria can leverage on this as well to increase revenue. And this is also in South Africa, it's been managed by the tax office, the South African revenue service, right? And so Nigeria can easily plug into this and also leverage the resources that could come up from this, but also beyond just leveraging the resources, but also begin to encourage things like green manufacturing. There are already a couple of initiatives on the scene that are providing some level of incentives to those who are conscious about the way they manufacture, conscious about not trying to pollute the environment through their manufacturing, conscious about sustainable consumption, sustainable production, and even sustainable financing or green financing. So these are certain things that the Nigerian government can leverage, by one, will I call it punishing those who are emitting? But secondly, there are initiatives that can compensate those who are also ensuring that their carbon savings that are being achieved.
Yeah, I guess.
So there are two opportunities there.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you so much. We'll keep tracking to see how the carbon taxes actually work here in Nigeria. Thank you, David Arinze, renewable energy expert. Always great having you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.